To create value to its stakeholders, a living lab must be able to provide services that answer to their needs. We have seen how important it is to define the purpose for your living lab and how to prepare and stimulate user involvement. We will now be seeing the services a living lab should be providing and how to structure them. Service creation refers to the development and to the organization of the service portfolio that should be available to the living lab's users in order to help them developing their projects. We will be following the same line of thought as in the previous videos to explain this process. As we have seen previously, theory mentions 3 types of issues to be aware of when setting up a living lab. In practice, when creating the services for the living lab in terms of organizational issues, we should be paying attention to organization training. That is, to provide the needed training to everyone in the team, either in technical terms or in what regards the daily procedures of the living lab. In what regards contextual issues, the services of the living lab should have a business mindset and should be suitable for the market you are working with, meaning that you should be developing procedures to support idea generation, business modeling, and business planning. Finally, in technological terms, you should be working to have good communication services that facilitate the interplay between the living lab, its stakeholders, and the market. With all this in mind, we can identify 3 types of services that should be part of the living lab structure. Technical services that guarantee that the living lab's activities are functioning properly and that the living lab behaves like a testbed and a research and development center. Customer services are focused on providing support to the living lab's users and stakeholders during the development of their projects. Intra-network services are related to the connections established with other living labs, with ENOL and other partners, since some of these relations might be based on complementary skills and services. So, when deciding which services to create for the living lab's portfolios, these are the questions you should be answering. You want to know what you are going to do, how you are going to do it, and who will be involved. Nevertheless, all the answers and the services you want to provide should be considering what it means to be a living lab and what are the market needs. There are many relevant aspects to consider carefully in this analysis. However, you should never forget that each living lab has its own particularities, and maybe some of these aspects are not that important in your case, while others are critical. Therefore, when deciding which services to create and how to create them, there are 5 key features to be aware of. Provide meaningful and useful benefits for your users and your community, considering their cultural background. Keep a business orientation, preparing competitive and sustainable solutions that can help the living lab evolve in the future. Build a solid communication system so people can understand what the living lab is doing, but that also allows those people to easily establish contact with you. Find partners that can add value to your stakeholders and provide you means and tools to help others. Keep an entrepreneurial spirit, developing innovative solutions for your users and leading the way to new ventures. When setting up the living lab, there are some critical tasks you should be carrying out in order to structure its service portfolio. You need to identify what services are necessary to answer your target's needs. Select the services that you can deliver and describe their value propositions. Develop new tools or use existing tools to help you deliver your services. Establish a process to deliver your services. Identify the training needs of your staff and train them. And create a multi-channel communication system that can raise awareness for the living lab, its services, and its users. The LIVERUR toolbox has 6 tools to help you creating your services. These tools can be used complementarily, and they can also be used in some of the services you create. The Business Model Canvas is a very simple tool to describe how you will be organizing your living lab and how will it be creating value. The Value Proposition Canvas is a great way to find the appropriate fit between what your users need or want and what you can deliver them. The Lean Model Canvas is an adaptation of the Business Model Canvas, having a more problem-solution oriented approach. The Service Blueprint is quite powerful because it will make you think about the customer journey throughout the service, but it will also require you to identify the key resources and people you need to perform the service. The Users and Offerings Map is a tool to make you understand if you should be developing new services or focus on your existing services according to the market you are targeting. Finally, the RAIN model is a good tool to engage in a comprehensive analysis of your project, as we have explained in a previous video. Let's look to our case study and see how one of these tools can be useful. In the previous videos, using some tools from the toolbox, we have demonstrated that the purpose of the Azores Pilot Living Lab is to add value to the milk supply chain. We have also mapped its potential users and stakeholders. So, we know why the Living Lab is being set up. We now need to focus on what to do and how to do it in order to achieve those goals. The central question is, how can the Living Lab be useful and meaningful to its stakeholders? The Value Proposition Canvas seems to be a great tool to help with this task and to start pointing out the services the Azores Pilot Living Lab should be providing. The Value Proposition Canvas is a tool that helps setting up the product market fit. This means that the services you are going to be developing will be based on specific market needs. The first step is to describe the customer profile, including customer jobs, customer pains, and customer gains. We start by listing customer jobs, that is, the problems they need to solve and the tasks they want to be performing. We then highlight the pains they may encounter or the negative outcomes they want to avoid when performing those jobs. And finally, we list the gains or the positive outcomes they hope to achieve. On the other side of the map, we will be looking to the Living Lab services, its pain relievers, and its gain creators. We start by listing the products and services that are at the base of the Living Lab's value proposition. For each of them, we should be describing how they eliminate, reduce, or minimize the pains the Living Lab's users may encounter. Finally, we should also be describing how each product or service creates, increases, or maximizes gains for the Living Lab's users. In the Azores case, customers of the Living Lab will be wanting to create new products, test these new products, and structure solid go-to-market strategies that can support their product's success. Unfortunately, many of them lack the resources to do this, including money, equipment, facilities, or even specialized people. As they lack the required skills, they also struggle with product design and they need guidance in what regards business development and research and development processes. They are looking for partners that help them validate their projects, place their products in the right channels, but they also hope to get informed feedback in order to improve what they are doing. According to this customer profile, we can understand that the Azores Living Lab should be providing business planning services, training programs, and prototyping systems. Since Tarinov is a science and technology park, its co-working model, its specialized team, and its facilities and equipment can aid the Living Lab users in eliminating or reducing their pains. Additionally, Tarinov's networking and customized support will create gains for the Living Lab's users, while the possibility to get reviews from the park's community may help them gathering detailed feedback. So, in a very simple way, we have identified some important services that the Azores Living Lab should be providing, and all of them are answering to specific customer needs. We have come halfway, and the Azores Pilot Living Lab outline is increasingly more recognizable. In the next video, we will be focusing on infrastructure.